Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Guys at Magic. This is Hunter, Steven, David, and Shane. Say what up, boys.
What's going on?
Hello.
What's up, nerds?
We are back with another Commander Grades video. That's right, continuing on here with Outlaws of Thunder Junction. This time, taking a look at all of the multicolored legendary creatures that can be potential commanders. We're not going through all of them today. We are splitting this up in a couple different parts because there was a lot of legendary creatures. So this first part, you'll get the first 11 in alphabetized order. But if you're new here, what do? Well, we go ahead and talk about these legendary creatures as potential commanders. We kind of rate them on if we would play them and how powerful we think they are. And then at the end, we give a grade, and then we have an average grade between all four of us. So, without further ado, I just want to remind everybody to hit that like button, subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so already, check the description, maybe you'll see some other links to the other parts or other grades video we've done with this. But we'll start this one off with this first card. It is Akul the Unrepentant. It is 2 black and 2 red for a 5/5 legendary creature Scorpion Dragon Rogue. It's got flying, it's got trample. And it says sacrifice 3 other creatures. You may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery and only once each turn. That is a very powerful effect to get free cards on the field. Very easy to do to get little, doesn't even say it has to be non-token, just token creatures. Just trade them in for something giant. It seems pretty good.
Did get Dave card for sure.
I don't
Well,
like the card at all.
as David, the resident Rakdos player, I'd like to go ahead and talk about this card first. Again, this is David here. So this is going to get a little difficult to play out. I mean, obviously you have 2 black pips and 2 red pips. Sure, it's a 5/5 for 4 flying and trample, but sacrificing 3 creatures, it's just going to, I don't even know what to think here. And then activating only as a sorcery and only once each turn. What's the point here, guys? What's the point of this Rakdos card?
I agree with you, David.
Wow.
I don't even know what to say. That was perfect.
I know I've been studying.
He's becoming me. I mean, we practically are twins.
Is that the reason you don't like it, really, David?
No, actually, I do think that this is number one. It's not actually like this is not coming out on turn 4. It's impossible to ramp into because of those pips. This is a turn 5 to 6 commander. It does require setup, and the payoff here is, it's kind of cute.
I disagree. It's not impossible. Don't kid yourself.
I don't know. This reminds me, like the mana cost on this one reminds me a lot of Rakdos, Lord of Riots. It's the same mana cost, and that is never out on turn 4.
Something has
Like
to die.
you can turn 1 Soul Ring, and it literally doesn't speed up your curve at all.
You can Arcane Signet, and it does.
I actually I straight up to the point think that this card has really cool artwork, a really cool creature type, and that's it.
I disagree with you completely because I think this is a very easy to do commander.
Hey guys,
You're going
it's
to be
Steven
2
now.
colors. There's only 2 colors in this.
Steven, what do you think?
I absolutely love this card. And then I saw only once each turn, and I was like, well, there goes that thought. No, I do honestly think this card's pretty cool. David, you said the artwork's sick. I do like the artwork. I don't think it's going to be as hard to put out as you're probably emphasizing on. I think I kind of agree with Hunter a little bit more on that. The only downside to me of this card is the sorcery speed on the activation, and then obviously the once each turn. That, I mean, it might as well just say on your turn. Like, I don't, that's the only crappy part. Other than that, I love it. I mean, you get to steal a bunch of your opponent's stuff, but then on the downside, most of those cards say until end turn. So you're kind of doing this all on your turn, kind of like shows your opponents what you're going to be doing. So kind of meh. I'm gonna say it early. I don't really say it often. I'm gonna say it early now. Meh.
Say it early, say it often.
Love it. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the grades. Dave, you are the lowest on the Rakdos card. What are you giving this one?
I am actually so low. I view the ceiling of this being 4 mana for a 5/5 flyer trample. This is an F. No, I'm actually being genuine. This is probably one of the worst cards in the set. This is actually an F.
Too hard.
I disagree completely. I'm actually gonna go middle of the road with this one. This is a C.
Yeah, I was gonna say middle of the road too, man. Like it looks pretty sick. See,
I mean, although we are twins, I will say I cannot go F. I will go to a D though.
Well, Akul the Unrepentant gets the average grade of a D. This next card, Annie Flash the Veteran. It's 3, a red, a green, and a white for a 4/5 legendary creature human rogue. It has Flash, and it says when it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, return target permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. And then it says whenever Annie Flash becomes tapped, exile the top 2 cards of your library. You may play those cards this turn. As the resident Naya player, I don't think this card does enough for me. And that's weird to say because this is a wall of text. It's 6 mana with Flash, and then you can get one thing only when you cast it. So you can't even blink this. This has to be cast every time you want to have that first ability trigger. And that second ability, unless you have a way to tap this without attacking, I don't know, man. A 4/5 isn't that wow.
super expensive. And as the resident not Naya player, still pretty underwhelming.
Huh.
You don't get to have that opinion, Dave.
Why?
You didn't like Akul.
I don't think Akul is good. I think that this card is much better.
This card's coming
me
out
why.
2 turns later than he is.
Yeah, they're probably coming out at the same time.
God up. Okay, talk about the card.
All right. So Annie, I actually do like quite a bit more. So having Flash on this means that your opponents do have to kind of like play around the fact that this is going to be a surprise blocker if you need it to. Plus, it's like a Sun Titan in the command zone. That's a nice recursion ability. I understand that you do have to cast this. Blinking and flickering is not going to do anything here. But on top of that, you also have added card advantage on the bottom portion of this card. Like, I don't think this card is amazing. But I do think that this is an engine and is going to do some stuff for you. And it's also a card that, like, if this dies, it's okay. This is a commander that is totally fine being recast a second time because it helps you build your board state back up.
Expensive, Dave.
I am very indifferent because I don't like this card whatsoever. And I am shocked that the first card got shit on so hard. And
Hi,
this
David.
card is getting more praise than that. I do like this card. I like the color scheme of Naya here. I do like the fact that it kind of resembles Sun Titan, and you can even play Sun Titan in this. 6 mana to cast this. I'd rather just play Sun Titan in another deck with another commander that is gonna be better. I do like the kind of engine that when it becomes tapped, you exile the top 2 cards of your library. You can play those cards. But I mean, like, you're swinging with a 4/5, so I mean, it's generally a little bit of a bigger creature than normal, and it doesn't have to deal the damage. But man, holy crap! I'd rather give this an F. Like,
Well, let's go ahead and move on to the grades right away then. Steven, what are you giving Annie a Flash?
well, I'm not going to give it an F. I will give it a D though. I'm kind of on the same boat. I just think it does have good value, but it is very expensive, and this dies twice, and I don't really think you're doing much after that.
Yeah, that it's going to get expensive quickly. And you're not going to be bringing back things very often if that happens. So I'm actually giving this a D as well.
Yeah, I gotta say it. I'm sorry, man. Gonna be a D from me.
I'm gonna go middle of the road on her. I'm gonna give her a C. I do think that she actually has, like, she's a decent value engine, and there is a fun little combo that I'm thinking of that you can pull off with her. So
The average grade for Annie Flash is a D. Moving on to Baron Bertram Graywater. It's 2, a white and a black for a 3/4 legendary creature vampire noble. It says whenever one or more tokens enter the battlefield under your control, create a 1/1 black vampire rogue creature token with lifelink. This ability triggers only once each turn. Has another ability, you can pay 1 and a black, sacrifice another creature or artifact to draw a card.
And
It seems like more of a support piece in those kind of strategies, right?
yeah, it could have been so cool, dude. But once each turn, I was just like, when you were reading, I was like, whoa, this could be a sick thing. Okay, okay. And then I don't know, that's kind of a bummer. I don't know if I
so
like that
let me
now.
get this straight. Every time your Smothering Tithe goes off, you also make a 1/1 vampire, and then you can sacrifice those vampires to draw cards.
Yeah, in
That's
Magical
correct.
Christmas, I can do that.
In
Not
Magical
that hard,
Christmas.
apparently. I mean,
Brother. You saw it happen one time.
The fact that this says token and not creature token, I think that actually gives this quite a bit more legs than what you guys are looking at here. I understand that, yes, obviously this is still really solid and like a support piece, but this is a commander that has the ability to sacrifice things, which you can do for effect, and you're going to be drawing cards. You're potentially drawing into the pieces that you need to win the game. I'm not down on him.
Wait, so that's bad or good?
No, I think it's pretty good. Plus, you can also sacrifice artifacts. Like I there's stuff here with this card.
There's stuff here. You're right.
Right.
I mean, I'm definitely on David's side here. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think this card is much better than what you guys are kind of thinking, and the synergies that Orsov has to do things like this, I think, is super strong. You know, the Smothering Tithe is, I mean, honestly, just one card in many that can continuously make you tokens each turn. Not to mention the support pieces, kind of like you mentioned, this is a support card in another deck. The support pieces you can put into this are very strong.
Sure. I just don't like the ability of triggering only once.
You're right, Hunter. And for that, we have the right opinion.
The Naya
Thank you.
1/1/1/1 player can't make a board state the size of Manhattan.
Okay. I don't know where to go from there, Steve. What the hell?
Yeah, it's exactly my point.
You drive right
So
to
good.
the
Yeah.
grades of Manhattan State, dude.
All right. Well, then let's go ahead and move on to those grades. Mr. Manhattan, what are we giving it?
Honestly, I really do enjoy the color format of black and white, so I think I'm actually going to put this at a B. I think it's pretty good. I think it's actually a little bit stronger.
I'm going middle of the road here. I am giving Baron Bertram a C.
I'm going to be hanging out with Steven here. I'm also going to be giving this a B.
Well, I'll be hanging out with Hunter then, and I'm going back down to a C.
Well, the Baron gets the average grade of a B. Next up, Bonny Pall, Clearcutter. It's 3, a green, and 2 blue for a 6/5 legendary creature, Giant Scout. It's got reach, and it says when it enters the battlefield to create Bow, a legendary blue ox creature token with this creature's power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. It also says whenever you attack, draw a card. Then you may put a land card from your hand or graveyard onto the battlefield. We talked about this when we were doing our spoilers, and I think we were all pretty high on it. We'll start with the resident Civic player, Shane. What do we think of Bonny Pall?
I think the things that it does is really cool and it's very Simic-y. I kind of don't like the fact that it's 6 mana. It is 2 blue pips. I get the greens in there, so we're going to ramp a lot to make ramps like crazy. But it does a lot of things that Simic do, which I love. I like the bottom half of this card because it reminds me a bit of the bottom half of Hackball, where when you're attacking, you're going to play a land from your hand. Or this one's even cooler because it's from your graveyard too. Besides the 6 mana, I like this card a lot.
Yeah, I think that blue ox creature token named Bow is going to get enormous. Like if this comes down, if you ramped into 6 lands, Bow is a 6/6 as well as a 6/5 for 6 mana. That
Right.
seems pretty good. And then you swing it in and making Bow grow before damage even goes through. So pretty cool.
True.
The other important note here says whenever you attack, so it actually doesn't have to swing itself.
Oh,
If
I know.
you have-
That's what I'm saying. So I'm saying when Bow attacks, you can make it grow.
Yeah, but like you just cast this thing and you swing in with your utility creature that you cast earlier on in the game. Boom, you draw a card and you ramp some more. This works really well with fetch lands because you're guaranteed to hit your land drops past that point too. And it also works really well if you want to be a complete and utter horrible person and play things like Strip Mine or Wasteland.
Don't even bring
That's
this up
where
to me.
David's mind goes every time.
Every time.
I can bring back lands from graveyard? Oh, land destruction.
Look, what is really good? Me playing 2 lands per turn and potentially, taking advantage of landfall triggers and taking you off your colors and then beating you to death with a giant cow.
Yeah.
Like, this is the best.
It's best. I love it. What about you, Steven?
It's Simic.
Enough said.
You're not wrong.
I'll agree. I mean, there's nothing really bad about this card. Tons of cards that offer you no legend rule applies, copy effects in blue that make sure that it comes in as a non-legendary. It's pretty solid. I'm not gonna lie to you. I really do enjoy Bonny Pall. I think it's got a special place in a lot of decks, and then I think it's a really good commander at the helm of the deck.
I think we're all in agreement there. So let's go ahead and move on to the grades. We will start with Shane.
I like him. Giving him a B.
I like it a lot. I guess I'll give my grade 2 after that. I apologize. It's a B for
You
Bonny.
gotta give it a B.
B for me as well, Bonny Pall. The average grade for Bonny Pall is a B. Moving on to Breeches, the Blastmaker. It's 1, a blue and a red for a 3/3 legendary creature goblin pirate. It's got menace, and it says whenever you cast your second spell each turn, you may sacrifice an artifact. If you do, flip a coin. You win the flip. Copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. When you lose the flip, Breeches the Blastmaker deals damage equal to that spell's mana value to any target. So you never lose a flip, really. David, you've got a coin flip deck that you like to play. What do we think about Breeches?
I like this commander, but at the same time, I don't. I don't like the fact that you have to be able to trigger this on your second, like the fact that it does have the restriction of like it's on the second spell. And chaos is cool, but I prefer chaos whenever it's like controlled or affecting everybody. This is just like sometimes I may really want to copy something. Sometimes I may really want to be able to deal damage, and not being able to control that is kind of limiting here. You can build around it. Obviously, there's ways for you to be able to take advantage of coin flip abilities just in general. But because of the randomness aspect, I actually don't think I'm in love with this commander.
We'll go to coin player number 2, Steven.
Yeah, I was like, I thought you were gonna say me. I was like, I have my coin flip
I mean,
deck right here. I was
David
like,
got his coin flip deck way before you.
yes, I was searching for a cheaper one because I was stupid and did not get the secret layer when it dropped, and I had to pay an extra like $150. Anyways, I'm kind of with David on this one. Coin flip is really fun with commanders that really specialize in it, and obviously you can kind of build around this. There's definitely tons of pieces that help, especially in this color scheme. I'm not a big fan normally when you play coin flip decks. Like, you want to continuously, even if you like continue to win the coin flip, you want to keep hitting triggers on certain things, and this doesn't really do it for it. Really, it's just like that spell, you win the flip or you lose it. I do like the fact that it's not terribly that negative, to be honest with you. Even if you lose the flip, it deals damage to its mana value to any target. So it's not like it's like, hey, you lose, you're really gonna lose. I think in that aspect, it's really fun. But yeah, I don't know. I don't even know if I would put this in my coin flip deck. Funny enough.
I think it's cool because this deck, you kind of just got to go with the flow. I know David said you want to be able to control the chaos, but this deck just feels like I'm going to be playing the spell and then going with the flow. Either I'm going to deal the damage or I'm going to copy it. Like, I'm not going to go into my turn expecting to do anything in particular. I'm just going to go in and say, this is my second spell. Let's see what happens. And like, you just got to be able to go with the flow, Dave. That's how this deck would work.
If you had ways to make tokens like Third Path Iconoclast, that makes 1/1s every time you cast a spell. So if you are casting 2 spells, you're getting 2 1/1s. Sacrifice one of them, then you get to decide, hey, let's flip a coin and see if I get 2 of the same spell, or dealing that spell's damage probably to an opponent's face, just as an added bonus. Yeah, I think this card's pretty cool. I think it's very doable in the right build. I'm here for it. Let's go ahead and move on to the grades. I'll kick us off with Breeches. I'm actually high enough where I'm giving him a B.
I felt like way more in the middle of the road with this guy, so I'm going to give him a C.
I'll give him a C.
Yeah, I'm gonna join you at the C, bud.
Well, Breeches the Blastmaker gets the average grade of a C. Moving on to Bruse Tarl, Roving Rancher. It's 2, a red and a white for a 4/3 legendary creature human warrior. It says oxen you control have double strike. It also says whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, exile the top card of your library. If it's a land card, create a 2/2 white ox creature token. Otherwise, You may cast it until end of your next turn. This is an interesting one.
What do we think, Boros player?
I'm the resident Boros player. I don't know how to feel because we've been in this kind of like we're gonna be exiling stuff, and you can play it until the end of the next turn, lane for a while, and this just kind of makes a 2/2 that has double strike. I don't know why I would ever play this over something like Naali that literally gives all your tokens double strike, and it also does the exile thing on top of it. Yeah.
I think you would do it for just being fun and flavor, dude. Man, I don't know. This could be the one of like this could be one of those things that this is the only thing producing your ox too. I know we're always thinking like, oh, are there enough ox to make this thing viable? This could just be the ox maker, and then otherwise you're just running the ox maker, yeah. And then otherwise you're just kind of running Boros aggro around it, I guess, or something. But that's not me pleading a case for it that it's good. That's just me saying like that is a lane you can go down. Kind of like I feel like what David does with some cards where the commander just is the theme of the deck, or like making the kindred.
Would you like to know how many oxen there are in
Sure.
Boros?
Yo, tell me.
15.
Okay, so he's making the ox.
Would you happen to know how many oxen are in your deck after you've resolved a Masquid Nexus?
99.
Probably. Yeah, you're running 99 creatures.
Yes. We have a soul ring, no lands.
Perfect.
Wait, we need a bunch of lands because we need to make the ox. Never mind.
What do you think, Steven?
No.
Just a no.
No.
All right,
Why
cool.
not?
David, what do you think?
I think the card is neat. This is like a perfect example of a commander that I think that like if you want to build a deck that's just kind of for fun, this is exactly what I gravitate towards. It's going to be fun. It's not super powerful. It's not very oppressive. It's going to do something that is unique and interesting, and for that reason, I like this card.
On the fun
Okay.
factor, yeah.
All right, then let's go ahead and move on to the grades. And David, how much do you like this card?
I'm going to give it a D.
That's exactly what I thought you were gonna do. I agree with you. It's a D for me too.
Hey, it looks fun, looks cheeky, but at the end of the day, right, Steven? Still a D.
It's an F.
Ooh.
Well, Bruse, Tarl, you heard it here first. Average grade of a D. Next up, Doc Aurlock, Grizzled Genius. It's a green and a blue for a 2/3 legendary creature, Bear Druid. Says spells you cast from your graveyard or from exile cost 2 less to cast. And also, plotting cards from your hand cost 2 less to cast. Shane, the bear, that is not actual bear. What do you think of this card?
I think this bear that's not a bear will probably get better with time, but like there are not that many plot cards, honestly. Like you could play stuff from your graveyard or exile, that seems fun, but I would really want to build him into a plot guy. And with only the one set having plot, it's unfortunate. Hopefully we'll see more plot in the future. But
How good would this card be if it had black?
I mean, more access to more plot cards. And also things from the graveyard.
Graveyard, yeah, specifically.
It would probably be better, yeah.
I think it would
I
be. Oh,
I was gonna say I only see this card as a support piece, not a commander.
I don't even know if I really see it as support, to be honest with you. It's very narrow. Like,
You know,
I don't know.
I think we're missing a pretty big one that wasn't mentioned, and that's Foretell.
Sure. Yeah, Foretell would be cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
Foretell, and to be honest with you, I'm just gonna say the word because it's one of my favorites. Mill.
Meh. Oh.
Starts with an M, but mill.
Milme.
Playing this as mill and then recursion and then using Foretell mechanics, I think it could be kind of cool.
Is there enough Foretell cards though?
Maybe.
You also
Probably.
play with an adventure card. That's true as well.
You
I
say
don't
that's
know.
true as
Like,
well
there-
from
there's
your own
there's-
point.
Also, now that I think about it, since we're talking about cards, actually, no, you said it, Hunter. You said adventure already, right?
He did. He just did.
yes,
it.
I
Yeah.
just did, yeah. I don't
Are
know.
we-
There are ways to build this, but I still am strongly in the boat of it's probably not the best commander.
And if we want to bring back something that David mentioned earlier, and I think we spoke about it off camera, this with Food Chain and something like Eternal Scourge would would go pretty crazy. because you're just sacrificing it. It costs 2 less. It's 1 mana to cast it. Because you can cast that card from your great or from exile.
It still just makes infinite mana though.
It still
It's
ends the same
exact
result.
combo.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is like it still makes infinite mana to do something pretty nuts. I mean, that's all I'm saying. Like,
But it makes
Like
infinite mana double.
it makes food chain literally just do food chain.
Yeah.
It doesn't add to it.
that's all I'm saying. Like, I mean, it's just it's pretty. I actually think this card's a little bit stronger than kind of what we're kind of letting on.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and move on to the grades then, Steven. We'll start with you, because you're probably the highest of all 4 of us.
I think I am, to be honest with you, because it's a bear, and I'm gonna give it a B. Actually, I started at a D, and then when I started thinking about the cool things you can do, and obviously it's a Simic card, which makes me hate it, but at the same time, I think it's pretty strong. I think you could build this as a really fun deck.
Well, Steven, if I'm going to be honest with you, this is still a D.
Understood.
Yeah, I think this commander will get better because I honestly want to play block cards, but I'm still gonna give it a D for now.
Well, to quote Steven, F.
No, he said it's an F, but okay.
It's an F.
Well, the average grade for Doc Aurlock Grizzled Genius is a D. Moving on to a familiar face, it's Eriette, the Beguiler. It's 1, a white, a blue, and a black for a 4/4 legendary creature human warlock. It's got lifelink, and it says whenever an aura you control becomes attached to a non-land permanent an opponent controls with mana value less than or equal to that aura's mana value, gain control of that permanent for as long as that aura is attached to it. Shane, you have the original Eriette from Wilds of Eldraine. You love that deck. This is the new Eriette, obviously, with a blue pip in it. What do you think about the new Eriette?
I'll try to keep it quick. I have not done very much testing with her. The limited testing that I have done, I've played maybe 2 games. It is a much different beast. Very difficult for me, at least, because you want to be casting higher mana cost things to steal bigger things. Because most of the things you're going to be trying to steal are 4 mana, maybe 3. The original Eriette, all of our stuff was like 2, 3. It really good. The gain and drain really good. This just plays so different. And I played against David and you kill Eriette, and the deck does nothing. So I don't know how to feel on it yet, honestly. And if anyone thinks it's great, like if Steven said it's great, I would just say let's try to play it, man, because it's tough.
Tough. Yeah, it's definitely interesting because that whole your aura has to be a mana value of equal to or less than the thing that you're attaching it to actually gain control of it. There's not a lot of 2 giant auras you can really play to get some bigger things, because if your opponent has some big things on the board, I think it's just going to stay there as long as you're playing this commander.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this card whatsoever. I think it's just too restrictive. And then, like Shane said, this dies. Your opponent's got things that you put on it that you kind of wanted yourself. So
I don't know. I
Yeah.
think that he's cool. I think that I don't know. I like Esper. It's a fun color combination. There's a lot of ways that you can protect her really effectively. You can obviously 2 different things. There are some enchantments, some auras that I do think work really well in this color combination. I do think she's probably going to be stealing more so like the smaller things like what you mentioned. But I mean, I don't know. I'm somebody who I generally like to play decks that are filled with like a lot of 2 and 3 mana things and not very many like super expensive cards. So this might be a really good commander to play up against like a player like me, where you still probably will be able to steal most of my things.
Yeah, and to be honest, the more I think about it, I mean, we did compare to the old Eriette, so there is that. It's the gain and drain, but stealing people's things forever until the aura goes away, I think you're playing it in 2 different ways, because the old Eriette, you would want to play things that hinder your opponent's creatures. This one, you're playing some like really good things for their creatures, and then you get that creature with a really good buff. I think that's an interesting lane.
Yeah, I would agree. I might have misspoke earlier about that, but I still think she's just kind of tough to pull off, honestly.
Let's go ahead and move on to the grades. We will start with you, Shane. New Eriette, what you got?
Not as good in my opinion as the old Eriette, so I'm gonna give her more middle of the road, different lane. D.
Yeah, the more I think about it, though, I kind of want to. I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna give it a B.
Hunter, I'm going to join you. I know that she plays differently. I think I like this one more than the other Eriette. I'm going to give her a B.
I mean, it is a different play style, but you're adding a color here, and there's some fun enchantments and auras in blue. So I think I will probably shoot up from a C to a B.
Well, the new Eriette gets the average grade of a B. Moving on to Ertha Joe, Frontier Mentor. 2, a red and a white for a 2/4 legendary creature core advisor. It says when it enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 red mercenary creature token with a tap. Target creature you control gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. It also says whenever you activate an ability that targets a creature or player, copy that ability. You may choose new targets for the copy. We'll start with Steven. Steven, what do you think?
I mean, it's a Boros card that you want to consistently blink to a certain extent, because obviously 4 mana and then 6 mana and then 8 to cast this to make that one mercenary is kind of crappy. I think the real highlight of this card is the second piece of text. Whenever you activate an ability that targets a creature or player, copy that ability. You may choose new targets for the copy. I think that's kind of where you're at here. I think you're trying to do some fun shenanigans, and you're just gonna kind of want to hurt people. This kind of goes really well with like your lands that want to tap and give something shroud or double strike. Because when you use it and activate it, you get to make 2 things double strike or unblockable. And I think that's kind of where the fun is here. I think this is kind of like an equipment matters deck to a certain extent that's really wanting to pop off with this commander. Sprinkle a little blink, and I think you're gonna have a good time.
I'm with Steven. I think that the mercenary is probably the weakest part of this card. It's a cute little ability that you get on that, but I mean, my brain immediately goes to like, what are some creatures with some like useful activated abilities that like we can really double up on? I'm thinking things like Goblin Sharpshooter, where you can just like start mowing down your opponent's boards, because that's just going to get a little bit nutty. I don't know. There's tons of ways that you could take advantage of this, even if it's just something like you're tapping a creature to like draw a card and discard a card. All of a sudden now you're doubling that ability. Like you're going to start really being able to take advantage of those kinds of effects.
I mean,
Yeah, I
even
was
if
like-
you're like, sorry, Hunter, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say anything with like a ping effect seems pretty good. Just continuously ping your opponents in the face twice.
I mean, I wouldn't even go to that route, to be honest with you. You put something with a ping effect that creature's dealing damage to a creature, and you put something with death touch, like an artifact that gives your creature death touch. That's 2 kills right there.
Don't get me started with all the enchantments that give triple damage. Then you're really doing damage to people.
I don't have anything else to add to this card. I think it's cool. I can see all the fun lanes. I definitely agree with David and Steven because they're both saying the same smart stuff.
I will
I'm
add
not saying smart stuff. Thanks.
No, you're not. You're saying meh.
I will add one more thing though before we move on to grades for this, because I do think it's probably the most important thing about this card. Its name is Ertha Joe, and that is fun to say. I'm here for it.
Love it.
What you playing today? I'm playing Ertha Joe.
Okay, David. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the grades. What are you giving Ertha Joe?
I'm gonna give it a C. I think this is one of those decks that like is probably gonna come out and it's gonna completely dominate game 1, and then your opponent's gonna see what this does and say, "Okay, I'm just gonna kill the commander and shut you down."
Yeah, I'll agree with you. It's a C for me too.
I won't go that low. I think this is. I hate giving a Boros card anything higher than a C, but I think this is probably a B. I think it's pretty strong.
And I think it's middle of the road in my opinion, so I'll give it a C.
Well, Ertha Joe is going to get the average grade of a C. Moving on to another familiar face, it's Ghired, Mirror of the Wilds. It is a red, a green, and a white for a 3/3 legendary creature human shaman. It's got haste. It also says non-token creatures you control have tap, create token that's a copy of target token you control that entered the battlefield this turn. Token, token, token.
I hate that all these Naya and Boros cards make me want to start building it.
You like this card?
I do.
Why is that?
copying stuff, man. Copying treasures, copying tokens. I mean, granted, it is pretty restrictive that it has to enter the battlefield that turn. I don't really find that to be that big of a deal. I feel like in these colors, making tokens is pretty easy, and you just add a ton of effects and cards into there that double the counter, or not double the counter, sorry, but double the token production, and you're just going wild. I love the fact that it's 3 mana because it comes down pretty early, and it's got haste, so pretty solid. I mean, it can literally do it itself, which is insane.
Going
Yeah.
hog wild, would you say?
Oh, that's
No.
clever. I like that. I will say, if you got any of those token doublers or token triplers or any of those cards on the field with this card, you're gonna have so many tokens of
True.
whatever kind you're making. It is insane.
It seems kind of interesting that it has haste, and then this is maybe you can tell me if it comes down turn 3. Let's just imagine it comes down turn 3 on curve, and then you attack with it, I guess, because you probably didn't have anything else come in that turn to copy. So it's almost like, did it need to have haste? Unless you're just getting in for 3, first of all. That's what
Or
I
if you have
thought.
someone on the field that, I don't know, ETB make a token or something,
Wait,
then you can tap this in response to the trigger.
Yep, the haste is really good for like later on in the game if you do need to recast this thing.
got it. Okay.
Steven had mentioned earlier that these colors are really good at building like token go wide strategies. I don't actually think this is a go wide token deck. I think this is a go big token deck. So like whenever I look at a card like this, I'm actually not thinking like how can I take advantage of my army of 1/1s. I'm actually thinking like I have like an Omnath or a Titania or a Desolation Twin. Those kinds of effects where it's like I'm making a massive token that I want to be able to copy.
Yeah. Pretty good.
Would be pretty good. But I still agree with Steven, where's the go wide strategy? This would be, like I said, it would get out of hand so fast.
Yeah, but generally speaking, though, like in those kinds of strategies, like how many non-token creatures are you actually playing? Like, because if you have like 3 of them in play, you've got 3 extra like 1/1s.
I mean, if you're having them in play, you're probably in play because they're making tokens. So,
And that's fine, but that being my argument is like I don't know if I would really want to have like this deck focused around like, okay, well, I'm gonna make 3 extra 1/1s and that's gonna be the payoff, or it's like I cast Desolation Twin and I'm gonna get 3 extra 10/10s.
That'd be pretty good.
well, to each their own. Different ways to build the deck. Let's go ahead and move on to the grades for Ghired. I'm high on this. This is a B.
I'm gonna be right there with you, man. I'm actually pretty high on this as well. I'm gonna give this a B.
I'll stick with you guys, dude. You're turning me into a Naya player, I guess. I'll be.
I'm gonna give it a C.
Well,
Naya bias.
Naya bias indeed. Ghired, Mirror of the Wilds, gets the average grade of a B. And the final card we were talking about in part 1 of the multicolored legendaries is Honest Rutstein. It's 1, a black and a green for a 3/2 legendary creature human warlock. This is when it enters the battlefield, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast.
I mean, hey, this is doing really good work in the 4-color legendary deck in standard, but will it translate to EDH?
I mean, I don't see why not.
I don't see this being as viable as a commander instead of just a support piece. I don't know. It does the one thing one time. In these colors, it's kind of harder to flicker. So the ETB is not going to happen too often unless you're casting it multiple times. And creature spells cost 1 less. That's it.
That's really good.
Yeah, but
One.
you can have
only
so many
one?
cards that do that in your deck already.
Yeah, but if I cast 3 creature spells in 1 turn, that's 3 mana that I've cheated.
Sure.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I think that actually is very good. This also has the additional upside of having a pretty powerful ETB.
Yeah, but this just
Not
feels like
bad.
a support piece that would go in your deck, is what I'm trying to say.
I mean, it could be wrong. I don't think that it's bad as support, but I don't want to cut the legs out from underneath this. I think that this actually does have the potential to be a commander in and of itself.
I'm cutting the legs. No questions, no refunds.
I see you read that text. Okay.
I mean, I'm with David. I think this is pretty good. Is it like the strongest commander that we've seen? Definitely not. But I mean, just being able to cast this for 3, it brings something back from your graveyard, and then that spell would cost 1 less. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah. It's not bad. Cost reduction. Seen it before.
It's not. It's not a splashy or exciting card, but it's a card that is very good at what it wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's go ahead and move on to the grades. We will start with Steven because I think you and David are probably tied here. Let's find out.
I mean, I'm still going to give it a C.
Same. We're tied. It's a C.
Yep, and I give it a D.
Yeah, as the commander at the helm, I'm also giving it a D.
And the average grade for Honest Rutstein is a C.
Good job, David.
Thank you. We did it.
And that is going to do it for us today. If you guys liked that video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, so you're staying up to date with all these videos that we got going on. You don't want to miss the other parts of all of these commander grades for these legendary creatures. Comment down below. Did you guys agree with these grades? Maybe you disagree with these grades. Always interested to hear what you guys got to say. You open our eyes to new things all the time. In the description, you will find links to our Instagram, our TikTok, our Twitter, at Guys at Magic for each one. Follow us on those as well. On the screen right now, those are all of our Patreon subscribers. Thank you guys so much for your added support. It means the world to us. If you guys wanted to see what they're seeing, which is not here on YouTube, check the description for our Patreon link and consider subscribing. And until the next video, hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace.
Later. And remember, every time that you subscribe, a puppy gets adopted and finds a new home. So make sure you do that.
Toodaloo.
Bye-bye.
What the hell was that, Dave?
I don't know. That caught me off guard so hard.